The final frontier is home to countless alien lives, ranging from the horrors of the xenomorphs to invaders ready to destroy Earth. It's safe to say that we have a fascination with what can kill us coming from beyond the stars.
You cannot destroy anyone at a dinner party. It's very rude.
However, if you wander over Yonder, you may be able to find some foreign life that may instead just want to be your friend and have a good time. Traveling from planet to planet means you are bound to come across different species, both nice and mean. But where do they rank? If you were on a space trip, who would be the folks you want to meet, and who are the foes you'd flee? Hey, I'm Brad with WickedBinge, and this is Wander Over Yonder, Good to Evil.
Just doing the good that do-gooders do.
As usual, we'll be starting with the friendliest of the faces, the good, and moving down towards the evil. Starting with the most pure. Our gold medal only really had one possible candidate, Wander himself. When we say that there's no other choice for the top spot, we mean it. This is pretty much the Fred Rogers of outer space. Wander is the main character, always traversing around alien planets just out of curiosity, and striving to leave the planet in a better place.
My bag's been killing me for days, but traveling through the universe will do that to you.
Whether helping a race of aliens escape slavery from Lord Hare, or just giving a random starving animal some food, he's always looking out for the best of others.
Hungry little feller.
So much so that he's willing to go as far as to befriend hostile villains and dictators that have destroyed lives and planets in the past, and show them a better, kinder way of living, even when everyone else has given up on them. Such is what he tried to do with Lord Dominator and the end of the galaxy.
If you just tell me what's ailing you, maybe I can help you out.
It's been hinted that he's been doing this for a long time, considering that he's been present for both galactic conjunctions, which only happen every 1,000 years, and that he's been trying to befriend Lord Hare at one and major threat in the other. It's a safe bet that he's reformed a great deal of villains.
You do this a lot, don't you?
Whatever it takes to find the good and the bad.
Like the previously mentioned major threat, Lord Hare lamented that he was Wanderized and stopped being a villain thanks to Wander's interventions.
With less hate in my heart, I might start to be happy.
Wander's insane desire to help comes from knowing just what it's like to be so helpless in the first place. His desire to help is so strong that he must help others, and goes through withdrawal-like symptoms, with him getting antsy in a town that doesn't need any help whatsoever, even trying to foil Lord Hare from getting lunch, thinking it was an invasion.
His lunch? That's not possible.
Of course it's possible!
He also ended up blowing his chance to escape with Silvia when the Watchdogs exploited this, causing trouble in the city to draw him out of hiding. He obviously values the life of others over himself, letting little bits abuse him just because it made her happy. Sure, he does have a few negatives you can count on one hand, like having a competitive side that Trudi was able to exploit, even ditching Silvia to try and win a race against her, plus becoming too wrapped up in his imaginary world, and his refusal to throw a punch has led to the Robo-Mechabotatron getting destroyed. However, not only did he apologize to Silvia in the first two instances, he was willing to let everyone else fight Lord Dominator, just not go after her himself.
I won't stop you, but I gotta stand for what I believe in.
This doesn't even go over a quarter of his heroic deeds that we do know of, like his extremely extensive list of chores he does every day, essentially acting like Santa Claus by giving everyone he met gifts, regardless of their morality, allowing some stranger to copy off his style if it meant there was another hero protecting others against Lord Dominator.
He's stopping butts, helping folks, and making people happy.
And even being willing enough to let Dominator kill him if it meant that his friends would be safe from her wrath. Despite the very few flaws that we did see, with his constant befriending of galactic villains, turning them over to the good side and ensuring that everyone is having a good and happy time even above his own safety, he has more than earned his reputation as the friendliest face in outer space. Our silver medal of good goes to the retired space heroine, Stella Starbella. When we first meet up with her, she presents herself as an elderly if easily confused old lady.
Mittens usually keeps track of all those things.
Despite being more than ready to warmly welcome Wander and Silvia to her ship, she ends up giving them sweaters that don't match their sizes, and even almost self-destructs her own ship. That said, this could definitely be blamed on her senile mind, and she truly does mean the best for others. That said, she has grown more stubborn with age, insisting that she has a handle on the situation. While she has proven that she still has it after saving everyone from Mandrake, she could definitely go for having someone to help her out.
That engine's been on the fritz since I defeated Mandrake the Malfeasant.
However, back in the day, she truly was a great heroine, traveling space and putting a stop to all of Mandrake's villainous deeds. And, as she showed, she still has the power to stop evildoers, just not the mental mindset. Some medicine to help her remember stuff and a lesson in humility could go a long way in helping her become as great as she once was. Up next, with the Bronze Medal of Good, we have Wander's own hat. Despite the odd choice, we can assure you that yes, not only is Wander's own fancy green headwear an actual character on the show, but has had 2 episodes surrounding him, namely the hat and the Mad Hatter. Wander's hat is a trusty makeshift bag that has whatever you want, although it will really only give you what you need. Silvia learned this the hard way in The Hat, as when the hat knew just where Wander was trapped, inside the mouth of a giant worm. Silvia insisted on going another way, and only realized what the hat knew right when facing Wander after being swallowed by the same giant worm.
What was that back there? Are you trying to get me eaten?
In The Mad Hatter, we find out more about where Wander got the hat from. Namely, he saw 2 former allies using the hat to give them powerful tools to take over the galaxy and push the hat to its breaking point. Seeing how much stress it was in, Wander stole it from under their noses and kept it on his head since.
I took it and kept it safe on my head.
Eventually, the hat was able to trust him and has helped Wander out on his galactic adventures ever since. While it was trying to be helpful, it does lose a couple of points by being snarky with Silvia by giving her a back in 5 minutes sign. We couldn't help but feel like maybe giving her an actual note with each item could have saved a lot of time and stress. He also is similarly snarky with Lord Hare, letting the skeleton pull out a loaded gun ready to shoot at him, as well as a pack of breath mints. Although considering who Lord Hare is, we can forgive that a bit.
Just give me what I need! Breath mints?
Overall, while not as friendly as the man underneath the hat, there's no mistake in saying that Wander's hat also just wants to help. Falling in right behind, we had the last place villain of the Galactic Villain Leaderboard, and darn proud to be that low, Major Threat, or as he goes by now these days, Jeff.
Call me Jeff.
Once a threat to all as a galactic conqueror, a chance encounter with Wander, going under the alias of Tumbleweed at the time, ran into him and helped him see the light of his misdeeds. In the end, he ended up becoming like Wander himself, a space-traveling hippie promoting peace and love to show the best in others.
Your reign of terror is gonna have to end, man.
After all, if he was able to like the most annoying person to him, there was no need for hate. Now, he was a pretty threatening villain, so powerful that even Lord Hare looked up to him before finding out the truth.
Huge fan! I know like all your evil deeds.
But he eventually did go out of his way to make up for his transgressions. Examples of these acts include giving up the clangors he conquered as an evil dictator and creating a democracy in its place, turning the sun he blew up into a ski resort, changing his evil band into a much more chilled band, and even destroying an evil rain cloud to make the depressed planet Victimon happier. While he did fake a return to villainy after being pushed that far by Lord Hare, he was doing it as a stunt to trick him into having to act like Wander to snap him out of it, and he never really did anything that vicious, just replacing Hater's statues with his own.
Sorry I had to fool you there.
Really, the only thing keeping Jeff out of the top 3 is his past, and the possibility, however small, of him accidentally hurting someone during his fake evil trick on Hare. Take that out of the equation, and Jeff could easily be mistaken for an equal to Wander. Proof that people can change for the better.
But I'm really embarrassed about all that conquering stuff.
Up next, we have Wander's partner and trusty steed, Silvia. Despite being heroic nowadays, she hasn't always been the nicest alien. As The Waste of Time showed us, she was originally a bounty hunter, even attempting to catch a bounty on Wander.
Come on, you wandering weirdo.
Before she was allied with him, she had the much more jerkish writer known as Ryder, and considering the line of work she was in, it really couldn't be that good.
So you replaced me with a hairy chicken leg.
However, after allying with Wander, she was soon grown to be above such violence and has become Wander's best friend, traveling companion, and bodyguard, helping him out whenever anyone tries to do him harm. These threats can range from the standard watchdogs that constantly hound them to even a giant planet, which has a massive crush on Wander.
I love you, Silvia. You too, Wonder.
In comparison to the kindly Wander, Silvia is more than willing to throw a punch or two, or 200 to enemy forces, knocking off a couple of points for her. However, for the most part, she really only attacks when she needs to or provoked. The only major exception comes from the time bomb, showing off her very dangerous competitive side, more than willing to attack others just to win. In the end, she has proven herself to be a true heroine. From bounty hunter to galaxy saver, she has more than redeemed herself for her past misdeeds and has become a much better alien for it. Following Silvia, we have Emily Ripoff, the hunter who wants all alien parasites dead on arrival.
I've been tracking the trail of mayhem and tears his species has spread across the galaxy.
While a bounty hunter like Silvia was, Emily gets some points for at least going after dangerous alien species. She's first introduced in The Search for Captain Tim, where Hare hires her, thinking that she's a dog catcher that can help him find his missing pet.
I can finally hunt down this monstrosity and every one of his kind.
However, if you're thinking that this alien is bearing a similar look to Ellen Ripley from the Alien saga, well, you're on the money. She is a much more deranged version, with the intent of pretty much causing an extinction of all the arachnomorphs.
I am not gonna stop until I put down every last one of you!
While she definitely does have a justifiable reason, seeing just how dangerous they are, she does seem pretty much gung-ho about it, and doesn't even take kindly to the idea of one actually being a good pet. She also isn't willing to let anyone get in her way, willing to fight with Lord Hare over the right to destroy his own pet, and eventually losing. That said, once Captain Tim proved himself by saving everyone from the alien queen, she's more willing to accept that maybe some of them could be tamed.
I guess bad things can change.
That's some progress, but still, considering how the other bounty hunter on this list was able to help Wander bring peace and happiness to the cosmos, Ripoff is more focused on destroying alien races, albeit how justified she is in her cause, and that someone has to be below the other. She just happened to draw the short end of the stick this time. At the Jackpot 7 slot, we have Silvia's other family members. Meeting up with them while hiding out from Lord Dominator, we come to learn more about Silvia's own family, living on a planet that wouldn't be that out of place on the Flintstones, and they are quite dysfunctional at first glance.
Oh, hey, Silvia. Good to see you. Take the groceries, huh?
Starting with the best of the family, we have Silvia's brothers, Bill, Phil, and Gil. While they are pretty friendly with Wander and Silvia, the trio are also just as invested in fighting. While they definitely are happy roughhousing, the house certainly does suffer from them, as they keep breaking furniture and, according to Silvia, never really doing any housework. Next, we have Dorothy, the mother of the boys and Silvia. As a hardworking mother of the family with a deceased father, it's reasonable to see that she has some grudge against Silvia, who left her. But seeing just how hard she pushes her when Silvia just wanted a break from being hounded by Lord Dominator.
You're giving up? That's not my fearless, gutsy girl.
That said, she certainly still has the best intentions in mind for Silvia, wanting her to be the hero that she knows that she can be. Finally, we have the meanest of the bunch, the grandma, being very dismissive to Wander just because he's not as rough as Silvia's brothers, and that she thinks he's trying to steal her pearls.
Dirty space hippie.
Kind of the stereotype of the old racist grandparent. Overall, as crazy as the family structure is, they're still pretty good folks. Well, maybe except for Grandma, who drags the rest of the family down a bit.
I think he's going for my purse.
Up next, we have the residents of Doomstone. The town is set up as a standard old western mess, with a whole bunch of criminals and crime lords. The land is so hostile and the residents are so mean-looking that Wander puts on a fake disguise as Wild Willy Wander, as Silvia has to look around to find new herbal juice. Not only that, but he ends up having to get into fights in order to show others that they blend in. Residents that they run into are Badlands Dan, a fearsome wanton felon, Oink, a leader of a bunch of pig motorcycle riders called the Motor Hogs, and Papa Doom, the de facto leader of the town.
This is Wild Willy Wander.
So just why are they up here on the good side? Well, as we find out in the climax, they never really wanted to hurt anyone. In fact, they never hurt anyone, and just faked being bad to survive. Thankfully, now that the truth is out, they're now able to move forward.
Only fake tough to survive.
In spite of putting their planet through so much, they still were able to eventually come clean and make up. leading to a better future.
Yeah, you were right. We just had to ask nicely.
With our final place for good, we have Andy the Watchdog.
Oh, hi. Oh, I didn't see you there.
Now, the Watchdogs definitely do have some crimes under their belts, working under Lord Hare. However, they all have their own dreams and ambitions, and Andy's dream is just to interview Lord Hare on his show.
Once again, your request to interview Lord Hare has been rejected.
Honestly, the worst thing about Andy is that he's a security officer for the Watchdogs, looking over the cameras and making sure that everything is in order. That's not the worst thing in the world, but he doesn't get points for it either. What he does get points for is the fact that he ends up learning that his show is making the Watchdogs happy, even if he couldn't get that exclusive interview that he wanted. And he even starts to use the show to promote other Watchdogs, like the designer of their uniform and, of course, the chef with his enchiladas.
So does Lord Hare like enchiladas? I don't know.
While he is a watchdog, he's perhaps the happiest eyeball you can find on the Skull Ship. With that, we are moving from the good to the gray area. Next is Wesley. Wesley is more interested in taking down Yander and Silvia, jumping at the chance to capture them, even if the opportunity literally had to be handed to him.
Oh man, what if I captured them? Can you imagine?
He's been trained to be as against Yander and Silvia as one can be, with thanks to Commander Peepers and Lord Hare constantly telling him that they aren't good, or rather, are good, and that evil's just better.
These two are the real bad guy.
However, with his adventure with Yander and Silvia, he was able to learn to ease his grudge against them after being saved by them over and over again. That is, after constantly threatening to shoot them, even pointing his gun to Silvia in his sleep. The main reason why he's in the gray and not the good area is his betrayal, going through with delivering them to Lord Hare.
You're coming with me.
To be fair, however, he did also help them escape after feeling bad about it. It was a bit of a struggle, but while Wesley isn't the bestly, he's still pretty darn close to being good. After Wesley, we have his counterpart from Lord Dominator's crew, Bot 13, affectionately called Beep Boop by Yander.
Nice to meet you, Beep Boop. Folks call me Wander.
Just like with Wesley, he has complete and blind obedience to his own commander, Lord Dominator. Unlike him, however, Bot 13 is a highly skilled recon scout. As being a robot, he has no need for worrying about morality, making his coldness much more understandable. He's also praised by Lord Dominator and is considered by her to be the top of the class, so to speak.
Why can't the rest of you be more like Bot 13?
However, one crash land into Yander will lead Bot 13 to not only be severely damaged, but also trying to push him away to just look for more power for Lord Dominator, as Yander just tries to help the robot have fun, even giving him the name Beep Boop. Despite his best efforts, even the emotionless robot finds himself befriending Yander, even getting second thoughts about revealing his new information to Dominator if it meant Yander would be in peril. In an act that cements his good side, he rejects Dominator's demands, calling himself by Beep Boop and deleting the information she needed, knowing full well what will happen next.
I am Beep Boop.
That is, being kicked out and burning up in the atmosphere. He may have helped Lord Dominator with their goals of galactic conquest, but he was more than willing to turn over a new leaf, even if it meant death.
Good luck, Beep Boop.
Now we have the Black Cube of Darkness. Now, at first glance, he is, well, just that, a black cube of darkness that can steal your soul if you look at him. Within his first two appearances, he's more than happy being a villain, trying to become the inheritor of Queen Intizoa's vast army, and fighting for a ring of invincibility, which was actually just a fake ring candy that Yander bought to try and set Hare and Dominator up for a date.
Which of these candy rings is the most romantic?
He does have a whole lot of insecurities, which push him to do those things, namely the fact that he's just a floating cube with no limbs or hands, as he unfortunately found out when trying to pick the ring up, only to float away dejectedly.
I'm just a little black cube.
Life on his home planet isn't any better, living in a rundown apartment while losing his girlfriend, being a fast food worker, and not really being respected despite his villain status. Thankfully, with the help of Yander, he's been able to at least adapt a more positive outlook on life, even if it does bite him in the behind, or at least as much of a behind as a cube can have, and the help of Silvia for shaming the town for constantly trying to assault and abuse him, saying that they're part of the problem.
You should all be ashamed of yourselves!
Sometimes the best thing you can say to someone is, "Sorry you had a bad day," and the Black Cube more than exemplifies this. While once a villain, he's now just another friend Wander and Silvia helped. Approaching the halfway point at Unlucky 13, we have not just a person, but an entire planet, Planet Janet. Unlike other planets that Wander travels to, Janet is special, as she is capable of actually talking to others.
You really think I'm cute?
Unfortunately, the only two people that she did meet are Wander and Silvia. With Wander being the nice guy that he is and complimenting her, she is much more cold towards his companion Silvia, who only said that the planet was dull and boring and that she didn't even know that she was alive.
All I can say is boring. Come on, let's get out of here.
While Janet is welcoming and more than willing to give Wander a fun time, she is dead set on making sure Silvia is, well, dead, using her planet-shaping powers to either just deny Silvia from having a fun time, to flat out trying to drown her and swallow her up in an earthquake. Thankfully, she ends up realizing her mistake in the end, and even apologizing for her actions, as she was just envious of a relationship that Silvia and Wander had before resigning herself to her fate of loneliness.
All I ever wanted was a friendship like you and Silvia have.
While she did get a companion in the form of a moon before the end, her willingness to accept her fate and guilt was what pulled her above the villains.
But I find myself very attracted to you.
Moving on to Trudi Traveler. She at first seems like she's just a cool old granny, more than happy to tell tales of her adventures out in the cosmos to Wander. However, as the episode goes on, we get to see more of her personality, and it isn't that pretty.
You understand? Or do you?
She knows just what makes Wander tick, and is more than willing to push him further and further along just to get a rise out of him. She's able to do this by taunting him, saying that she's much more well-traversed than he is.
I'm winning.
Pretty bad, but not planet-destroying levels of evil. Then, we see her take advantage of Wander trying to just be nice to her, by literally popping his bubble to leave him to die in space when she realized he has no intention on continuing his race. And then, we find out that she was more or less lying, having a bunch of her clones fill in for her as they were the ones visiting planets. She was never in the business of traveling to have fun, but to just annoy Wander.
Technically speaking, the furry fella did win.
Now we have Ryder from The Rider. Before Wander was with Silvia, she had Ryder, who can be considered the kid version of Han Solo. However, without any Wander or friends of his own to help keep his more violent and cruel side in check, Ryder is more than happy to look after just himself.
We're trying to interrupt!
At first, Ryder just seems to be a male version of Silvia, being a bit more violent than her. But slowly, we get to see his more duplicitous side.
You double-crossed the scuzz buckets for that thing?
Such examples include trying to steal an actual cruiser, destroying blimps and ships as a distraction, and showing no nonsense for Wander's friendship antics. While Silvia was interested in raiding Hare's treasure vault to return the treasure to the rightful owner, Ryder wanted to keep it all to himself.
I'm gonna buy a big galactic cruiser and then a little one to go inside the big one!
While Silvia would risk her life for Wander, Ryder is more than happy betraying Silvia just to stay alive. While he is opposing Lord Hare, his selfish side and cold demeanor is more than able to put him in the bottom half of this good to evil list. Hope that therapy session is paying off.
Let's talk about your honesty issues.
No!
Up next, we have Little Bits. Don't be fooled by these cute Puss in Boots eyes. Little Bits is a tricky and crafty little bounty hunter. When she first meets Wander, she disguised herself as a homeless kitty, wanting Wander and Silvia to unknowingly lead her to Lord Hare's ship.
You to a distant relative or perhaps a kooky cat lady.
Even then, she was more than willing to have fun with Wander by causing him to get more and more injured, exploiting his kindness just for her own amusement. However, this is her at her worst, thankfully. In Catastrophe, instead of just tricking people, she just makes a fair living by posting cat videos and strong-arming her way into being an internet icon.
No one can resist my cuteness.
Despite her greed and willingness to exploit the system, it isn't illegal, and likewise, the way Silvia bested her isn't illegal as well. Overall, while she definitely isn't afraid of getting dirty, she is able to play within the rules as well. So we do have to give her points for that.
I'll get my revenge on you, Wanda and Silvia!
Near the end of our gray area, we have the troll. Taking obvious inspiration from real-life trolls hounding others, the troll only has one purpose in life: to feed off of other people's food and anger.
I'm hungry.
Ever the haunting presence, he attacks the castle yearly, knocking aside whoever steps in his way. Feeding off of the anger and rage present in others towards him, he was able to steal the planet's food every year, at least until Yander told everyone the secret to defeating him. Don't feed the troll.
Don't feed
the troll.
Now, to give the troll a bit of slack, we know next to nothing about his personal life. And who knows, maybe as a species, this is the only way they can eat, as they're rather small otherwise. Mind you, this isn't excusing his behavior, just giving explanations. No matter how you slice it, he deserves his spot this low on the list. Finally, at the end of the gray area, we have our last character who was redeemed in some way, Sir Brad Starlight. It's easy at first to assume that he's in fact, well, a hero.
Travelers, will you help me save her so we may live happily ever after?
Except no, as he's actually the deranged stalker of the Princess Demora, who's getting married to the Dragon King, King Drakor, with both parties consenting. After getting humiliated and embarrassed after being rejected by the same princess he tried to save, he throws a temper tantrum and tries to kidnap her instead, which the princess was able to escape from by beating him. Hey, life isn't a fairy tale.
Like I said, this isn't a fairy tale.
Jumping ahead to the enemies, Brad Starlight was more than willing to team up with Lord Hare to try and kill Yander, as ineffective as their efforts were in the end.
We should probably get going.
Okie doke.
Still, intensive murder is still pretty serious and not befitting for Brad's I'm a hero mindset. Believe it or not, he only gets worse, as he and his cousin fake several attacks from Dominator's bots, causing property damage, as he reaps unearned rewards, like money and kisses. The only thing saving him from being in bad to evil is that according to the Hot Shots cold tag ending, he's now happily married with kids to Princess Ramona, the leech-like lady princess that kissed him at the end of the episode. It wasn't enough to become a full good guy, but he isn't a true bad guy now at least.
Even dumb animals and silly sidekicks can be taught to fight the forces of fright.
With the gray area all done, we move on to the cruel. These are the bad and the evil. Starting us off, we have the invasive Watchdog army. These eyeball minions are always present and always loyal to their commanders, Hare and Peepers. They're the main driving force of Hare's galactic conquest and have helped him take over countless planets. That said, despite these eyeballs being soldiers of evil, off the clock, they really aren't that bad. I mean, they have some goals of their own.
If the watchdogs no look good, just say they no look good.
You know, they're more than meets the eye to these eyes. Mind you, they still take great joy and pleasure in causing trouble for others, and are more than happy to try and take down Silvia and Yander whenever they cross paths. However, they've been more than willing to fight against Lord Dominator's evil robotic army, so we do gotta give them some points. While they do help out their galactic conqueror, they still are a ways off from being the worst of the worst.
You're embarrassing both me and yourselves!
Up next, we have the spider acidic alien, Captain Tim. First a roaming, rampaging alien stuck inside some spaceship, he was introduced as the sole reason that the ship is all messed up, with plenty of holes, destroyed pipes, and of course a completely dead spaceship crew. By the time Yander and Silvia enter the scene, the spider alien just wants to eat and kill them, even as Yander tries to train him, even naming him Captain Tim after the name tag he barfs up.
Who's a good boy?
You are Captain Tim!
Eventually, Yander decided to just give Captain Tim to Lord Hare, and is surprisingly a good fit. Thanks to his lack of skin and bodily organs, he is able to not only be able to finally find someone he likes, but also even be trained by him a bit, or at the very least, as well trained as one can be underneath the villain.
Captain Tim here outranks you, don't you, boy?
His love for his new skeleton master is what saves him from being any higher, as he's more than happy cheering Hare up after his failures, and even saving him and others from the Arachnomorph Queen. While he isn't a good pet towards others, at least he's happy under Lord Hare's care. Our next galactic conqueror on our list is the legendary party shark, Emperor Awesome.
That's right, it's me, Emperor Awesome.
It's really hard to call this shark a galactic conqueror, at least at first. all he really wants to do is just party, going from planet to planet to throw his parties. However, there's one big problem. His parties are known to be literally world-ending, even destroying his own mother's house.
I even trashed my mom's house once.
He also wanted to use a cosmic wish that happens every 1,000 years to take over the universe. As horrible as those crimes are, they really are the only crimes he committed. Most of the time, he just spends his life partying and picking on nerds. He even invites Lord Hare out and takes him under his wing to try and show him how to be cool. Or at least cool in his eyes.
Hanging with you would really elevate my street credit.
Despite a promising start, he ends up botching his newfound friendship with Hare when he starts to pick on Commander Peepers, resulting in Emperor Awesome being beat up and becoming his rival.
Then I was all, that's what you get for picking on my pal.
However, after trying to impress Lord Dominator to date him, he would find himself on a surprise break from villainy, as Dominator trapped him in magma and did something to him.
Don't be like that, babe. Come on, what about all the good times?
It's unknown what, but given how he feared her, it's safe to say that he at least learned his lesson.
Don't let her get me!
Overall, at best, he's just a jerk jock that loves partying, and at worst, he's willing to destroy planets just to party, both of which are pretty bad. Moving on, we have the villain that Wander regards as the worst of the worst, Dr. Screwball Jones. On paper, he sounds just as nice and friendly as Wander and Jeff. He's a floating banana with a clown afro that is voiced by Weird Al Yankovic, who just wants to make others happy and make them laugh.
We both want to spread joy throughout the universe!
What is not to love about him? Well, plenty, actually. For starters, he's all about forcing others to be happy, like using his tickle machine to constantly tickle people into laughing. And considering just how opposed to him as Wander is, this definitely isn't the first time Screwball did something like this. He's also willing to beat up Wander when he tried to stop his evil plan.
You snapped your C-sharp, so now you'll B flat?
However, he does seem to not understand what he's doing is evil. He seems to genuinely believe in his own cause, thinking he's doing good. So, he has that going for him at least. But with how stubborn he is, that can only go so far. Despite being a leading player in only one episode, he has definitely made a lasting impact as one of the more serious villains Wander faced off against. Up next, we have the commander of the army of Watchdogs, Commander Peepers. Loyal to Lord Hare, Commander Peepers is his right-hand man, helping him take over the galaxy.
Nobody move, you're still almost conquered, okay? We'll be right back.
Ranging from just instructing him about new weapons and how to use them, to setting up a galactic destruction tour with the intent of destroying 12 planets. His goal in life is to help him take over the galaxy by any means necessary. It's kind of the reason why he's so high up in this list.
You waste all our resources trying to destroy a happy-go-lucky do-gooder who just wants to be your friend?
With his countless ideas on how to take over planets and destroy Wander and Silvia, it's not hard to see why. However, he does show sincere appreciation towards Hare, and often comes off as a friend to him or even a parental figure, even tucking Hare in bed in a flashback episode. In the funk, he spends the entire episode trying to get Lord Hare out of feeling sad, albeit so he can go back to conquering planets.
You just need to do something to remind yourself how fun evil can be.
Not to mention his staunch dislike for Lord Dominator's plan of just blowing up planets for fun, saying how it just felt petty to him. His head is definitely screwed on tighter than Hare's. While he does have a lot of love for Lord Hare, he's still definitely on the evil side, and pretty damn comfortable with that fact as well. And from Commander to Lord, we have Lord Hare, #1 superstar.
The universe will soon be mine!
Lord Hare has ventured to countless planets, taken them over, and killed and tortured many unfortunate souls.
Your ultimate destruction!
There's no getting around it. He is a galactic conqueror and wants to be the greatest in the galaxy. Of course, these plans are always interrupted and foiled by Wander, who just wants to befriend him like he did with Major Threat.
Lord!
Hare, is that you?
In return for this, Lord Hare is dead set on making sure Wander and Silvia are dead. He's a villain and proud of it, having a treasure vault of all of his stolen goods, a mixtape of all the screams of those that he tormented, and even a room filled to the brim with skulls of his victims. Now, despite how powerful and evil he is, it has been shown that more than anything else, all that Lord Hare really wants is to just be accepted. However, his way of doing so is quite dangerous and painful that it really doesn't do much for him.
Let us call loyalty till the break of dawn!
The only real positives he has is that he cares about his second-in-command, Commander Peepers, and his pet, Captain Tim. Despite that, it's hard to find any real positives with him that Wander does. For the start of the top 3, we have the oldest member on our list, that being Mandrake.
I'm Mandrake's about season.
Being roughly the same age as Starbella, for as long as she was in the hero game, Mandrake was in the villain game, and he has hated what the current lineup of villainy is like, with Lord Hare and Emperor Awesome not being evil enough in his eyes. Making his grand return by taking over a planet, he soon kidnaps the ruler of the planet, Wander, Silvia, and Starbella, more than content with drowning them in hourglasses with sand. It should be noted that while he does say that he has a crush on Starbella, it really doesn't do much for him, as not only is he still willing to kill her, but also still tries to conquer the galaxy.
I never conquered your heart.
If anything, it shows just how heartless he really is, killing those that he's loved. Though age has definitely caught up with him, and he only started in one episode, he has still been a very serious threat that still has some life left in him, if his age doesn't get in the way, that is. In second place, we have Sourdough, the evil sandwich once called Queen Entezoa. Queen Entezoa is a villain who says that she's retiring and is looking for someone to inherit her vast empire, built over 1,000 years.
I do not want weaklings!
As a former villain herself, and wanting all of her wealth to go to another fellow villain, it's safe to assume that she isn't going to be a good person. When she decides that Lord Hare should inherit her fortune, she then reveals her true intentions. She was just looking for a soul powerful enough to continue her reign, and is more than happy to possess that soul for 1,000 years.
I will enjoy inhabiting your bodies.
Unfortunately, thanks to Wander, she ends up inside a sandwich and changes her name to Sourdough, the evil sandwich. Even as a sandwich, she's capable of leading her army and taking over planets, and was able to take over Hare's planets.
I have seized control of yet another one of your planets.
As an evil queen, or despicable sandwich, she is as sour as the sourdough she possesses. As the most abhorrent alien that Wander came across, the gold medal goes to the big bad of Season 2, Lord Dominator.
I'm the bad guy.
Just what sets her up as the most dastardly of the bunch? The answer is rather simple, really. The other villains, no matter how many heinous deeds they wanted to commit, still wanted to at least keep the planet safe, albeit so they can rule over them.
I came, I saw, and I dominated!
Lord Dominator, however, has no such desire. She just destroys planets for no other reason than she can, leading her to pretty much destroying the entire galaxy, save for just one planet.
She's not trying to conquer the galaxy so she can rule it. She wants to destroy it.
It was already saying something when Wander decided to actively fight back against Dr. Screwball Jones, but hearing him say how he doesn't want to befriend Dominator is even more shocking.
I'm not sure I want to be your friend.
Of course, Wander's doubt doesn't last long, and after realizing she's actually a lady, decides to try and set her up with Lord Hare, to Lord Dominator just swatting away every attempt to romance her.
So you don't want to date me?
Even after all this, Wander still believes that there's some good in her, and that she is just lonely. If she really is lonely, she isn't showing it, and is still more than happy to just cause despair and destruction across the galaxy.
There's good way deep down in everyone.
When it comes to the worst, you can't get any worse than someone just killing and destroying entire galaxies for fun. And with that, that concludes our list. Did we give someone too much credit or not enough credit? Let us know in the comments below. Be sure to wander over yonder to our other videos in the playlist, and help us out by dropping a like, a subscribe, or even ringing that bell. We'll see you in the next video, and remember to stay wicked.